वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा।
Jupiter is in either Aquarius or in Simha, that it's a condition that some consider more exalted than even its exalted.
Oh yes. Now,
as Queen Victoria's chart has that, the one you just dictated has that.
Now, Varaha Mihira in Brihad Jatak, a famous book, great book, says Jupiter in Leo or Jupiter in Aquarius gives you better results than an exalted Jupiter in Cancer. So Jupiter in Leo or Jupiter in Aquarius in the Navamsha or the birth horoscope. Right.
What about if Jupiter is also retrograde in Leo?
Retrograde. It doesn't matter.
Saravali says the same thing about Jupiter and Leo. It's perhaps better than
Pardon?
Cancer. Saravali
Saravali.
says the same thing about Jupiter and Leo. I don't remember what he says about Jupiter.
No, Saravali and all other books are only later books which have taken from all the old classics. But remember, when in Brihad Jatak, Varaha Mihir says you have to take him very seriously. He was a very great astrologer, very successful predictor. So Jupiter in Leo, in this case with the Sun. Right? Now it was a period of Mars, it was a period of Saturn and Venus, sixth lord. Right? Therefore, these three principles should always be kept in the mind: the Dasha of the Lagna Lord, the Dasha of the 10th Lord, the Dasha of the Exalted planet. They are sub-periods. The moment you see that, you immediately see that it is possible for this man to fight back from a bad situation and recover. What is the nature of recovery? Now you have to see. If it is property involved, go to the Chaturthansha. If it is a position involved, go into the Dashamansha. In other words, you are always to go to the connected divisional horoscope. Every time you are going to examine the birth horoscope and the Navansha. Along with this, you must take the interconnected divisional horoscope for that relevant Varga. Some question about parent is asked, go to Dvadashansha. Some question about job is asked, go to Dashamansha. Some question about siblings, go to Dreshkona. Some questions about Chaturthansha, go to property, go to Chaturthansha. Some question about children, go to Saptansha. That is the scheme I have followed throughout in this book. I am giving you 3 or 4 divisional charts. Birth horoscope and Navansha is a must. Then take the third interconnected one. And for all this, please use Chitrapaksha, Ainansha, Lahiri. In all the books of Dr. Raman, you find he has never discussed even Navansha, though he has given Navansha. because his Ainansha is so unscientific. So he could never do any research in Vargas in his life. He never produced any research. We are producing major research there in Delhi by taking Vargas. So we get our results from Lahiri's ephemeris, Lahiri degrees. So we follow strictly what we call as Chitrapaksha, Ainansha or Lahiri. So you keep on working on the relevant divisional horoscopes. So your scheme now I am expanding. You take the birth horoscope 1. You take the Navamsha 2. Now you take the related divisional horoscope 3. For example, you are asking a question about a child, so take Saptansha. Asking a question about career, so take Dashamansha. Asking a question about siblings, take Dreshkona, 1/3 division. About property, Chaturthansha, 1/4. About parents, Dwadashansha. Up to this you can keep on working. If the birth time is inaccurate, if the degrees are inaccurate, you cannot work on this. Therefore, why the correct noting of the birth time and why correct casting? In USA, as I told you, your time zones can make a man very, very crazy. Yes?
Can you take a moment of some very special event?
Pardon?
Can you take the moment of a special event and cast a chart and follow the dashas and make some predictions based on that moment of the event?
Prashna.
I understand the Prashna.
You mean Prashna?
Yeah, can you use, if you do a Prashna chart, can you follow the dashas with that as well?
No. In the Prashna chart, dashas are unnecessary. In the Prashna chart, actually 1 year period is only valid normally. I would generally not go beyond 6 months in the Prashna chart. And I will tell you one thing. Remember, never do Prashna chart unless first you have developed a good judgment of the birth horoscope. Otherwise you will become an escapist. That is the biggest danger in India. That is the worst thing that is happening. You see, Prashna chart means what? Quick answer, quick result. Myself and Dennis Harness and others, we were watching a match between Colombia and Switzerland last June when I had come. Dennis Harness is the secretary of Vice President of American Council of Vedic Astrology. We were 3 or 4 of us. A very chubby, fine 10-11-year-old boy sitting behind me patted me and he said, "Which team are you supporting?" I looked back, I saw the boy. Now in a match between Colombia and Switzerland, I have no team which is my favorite. Right? I turned to him and said, "Which team are you supporting?" He said, "Colombia." I said, "I will support the team you are supporting." He felt happy, his mother felt happy. Then I told Dennis had brought a small listing. I said, "Tell me, what is the planetary position when this boy asked the question?" That boy wouldn't know. He told me. I saw it, I turned back. I said, "Your team Colombia is going to win today." And Colombia won the only match in the whole tournament by 1 goal. Then the mother and boy, they were all very happy. They came and said, thank you. So Prashna is all right up to this extent.
You probably know that there's a famous trial going on here in America right now, the O.J. Simpson
Yes.
trial. I did a chart based on the moment that the trial began, and I've been following it. And that's why I asked you about this question.
Yes, it is better to get his birth horoscope correctly.
I have that as well.
Right? And if you get the birth horoscope, try to see the Dasha and the Antardasha and whether it is a period for punishment or not. That is enough.
What divisional chart would you use in something like that? The ninth? I mean, not the ninth, but
The 1 and 9th you have got to use, and you have got to see the Dresh Kona in my book Astrology, Destiny and Wheel of Time. The very first case study given is crime and Guru's grace. There I have given combinations for imprisonment.
I read some part in the book, somewhere in the book that says when we analyze the Vargas chart, we don't take a step. We don't consider a step of that.
You have to consider aspects. The reason is, you see, a very famous book, not available to you in translation in English. What is available to you in translation in English is only 1/10 of what is available to us in translation in our languages. Now many of these people who write these articles, they do without testing. There is a famous book known as Jataka Bharanam. In that book, some of the secrets of aspects in the divisional horoscopes are discussed. And on that basis I have given very good predictions. So aspects in every divisional horoscope are to be taken just as normally as you take in the birth horoscope. If that were not so, some of the very fine specific results mentioned in Jataka Bharanam would be meaningless. In ups and downs, I have given you the example of Justice Utwalia. That prediction made me a very famous person in 1973. You see, what happens is, you give very extraordinarily good prediction to a very ordinary man. No one talks about it. You give an ordinary prediction to a famous man. When it succeeds, everyone talks about it. It's a very stupid world you live in. A totally stupid world. That man was not getting his promotion. Elevation as to the Supreme Court of India. I said he would get it after a man dies. After a sitting High Court, Supreme Court judge dies. He got it. How I gave that prediction, I explained in that. It became a famous case study that made me very famous. And I have given much better prediction to ordinary men. No one talks about it. Question?
Yeah. Parashara uses 16 divisional charts.
Yeah.
And Tajika also uses, they use like 12 divisional charts.
Who?
Tajika, Vashapala.
Huh.
And I heard also some other authors using more divisional charts and also different kind of divisional charts. And also some even calculate the divisional charts differently. So I was wondering what...
Now take only how as Parashara gives, forget others. Right? When you go to Tajika, it's a totally different thing also. That is Varshapala. One man who had done very original researches in this century was Sheshadri Iyer. He died some years ago. he used to make use of Shashtansha and Astamansha also for diseases. How far he has succeeded, I do not know. Then he had the yogi and avyogi principle also, which are there in some of the computers of USA.
Yeah, I use those.
You are using that. But he was a very brilliant man. Very, very, very original mind he had. Even today I respect that man, though I have not been able to try his research. Let me tell you honestly. But a friend of mine in Delhi has been working on those researches, and he has assured me that Seshadri Iyer should be remembered as one of the most brilliant astrology researchers of this century, a very original man. So what you are saying is correct, but I have not tried some of the methods of Seshadri Iyer. They are working well according to a friend of mine. I have not tried.
Do you think, I know some palmistry, and I'm wondering if you think that palmistry has any use as a corroboration of astrology. In other words, doing the chart, it indicates certain planets are strong, certain career, then see what the palm says, and if it agrees, then you have a good reading.
Yes. Actually, there is one Bhrigu Samhita man. Bhrigu Samhita you must have heard of. Those palm leaf manuscripts in which there are readings about you. They read out. In a place called Karovi near Rajasthan, he has it, and a friend of mine insisted. So I had to go in January 1995 after returning from USA last year for a reading. Then he said 3 months after you would come. Again I went in April. Then in the reading he said, you will go to a foreign country and return, and after that there will be another reading. So I had to have another third reading. That man will look at your palm and take your horoscope, do the corroboration, then find out and begin to read out. That is one. What you are saying, that is one. Astropalmistry. Second, a friend of mine in Delhi, who is a very good palmist, takes support of both astrology and palmistry and gives very sound predictions. Third, in Calcutta there used to be one man who could cast your entire horoscope after seeing your palm, including the degrees.
It's the light of Jyotish.
Pardon?
It's the light of Jyotish.
Pardon?
The light of Jyotish, it was mine.
So, I don't know, in India the tradition of secrecy is there, people generally don't teach it easily. But there are some people who know how to cast the entire horoscope on the basis of your palm. But this man, only case I know of, in 3 cases he prepared the whole thing very correct up to degrees. Very remarkable it was. This planet will be 24 degrees. Well, it may be 24-19, but if the man could come up to 24 degrees, you could see how remarkable it was. So he saw the whole thing and made those things. So palmistry is a support. What you are saying is correct. Astropalmistry is becoming very popular.
Where do you see Rahu and Ketu being exalted or in their own houses?
Well, generally I'll put it this way. I'll take the principle given in Uttar Kalamrita by Kalidas. Rahu, Ketu in the houses of Jupiter and Mercury are generally good. One principle. 2. Rahu, Ketu in trines and quadrants are good. 3. Rahu, Ketu aspected by Jupiter are good. I have given many important predictions on this basis and I found them correct. Parashara says Rahu, Ketu in trines are good. In Kendras are good. Kendra means quadrants. The best example you can have in USA is that of John Kennedy. You have seen his horoscope? You know his horoscope? Do you? You don't know?
Some
Note down. Virgo ascendant. Rahu in the 4th house. Venus in the 7th house. Mars, Mercury in the 8th house. Sorry, Venus not in the 7th house. Jupiter, Venus, Sun in the 9th house. Ketu in the 10th house. Saturn in the 11th house. Moon in the 12th house. I repeat, Kanya Lagna, Virgo, 4th house Rahu, 8th house Mars, Mercury, 9th house Jupiter, Venus, Sun, 11th house Saturn, 12th house Moon, 10th house Ketu. So you get 9 planets plus Lagna 10. Right? The best that happened to Kennedy was in the Dasha of Rahu. Apparently all people say debilitated Rahu. Many people would say Rahu is exalted in Mithuna and debilitated here. But now you see, Rahu is in Kendra, Parashara principle, the house of Jupiter, Uttar Kalamrit principle. And the best that had to happen to him happened only in these 18 periods of Rahu. And when Jupiter was over, Jupiter-Saturn came, he was shot dead. Just 2 days after Jupiter-Saturn period started in his life, he was shot dead. 1963 November. Yes.
How does Rahu and Ketu act? Do they act as more through the dispositor? Or
Yes, Rahu Ketu will act as the lords of the houses they are positioned in.
That's it?
That's all.
Not Yuti Drishti from other planets?
Pardon?
Not modified through any aspects?
Yes, if they get aspects, PAC, the position, the aspect, the conjunction will make all the difference.
Which is more important, dispositorship then?
Position is always good.
That's more important when you interpret.
Right.
It's the bhava that they're in and not the...
Pardon?
It's the bhava that Rahu and Ketu are in and not the sign. More important.
The bhava they are in, that is the Parashara principle. Okay. If they are in the 4th house or the 5th house, that's enough. Trines. You will rarely see Rahu or Ketu in trines and quadrants not giving you very good results. Rarely. In spite of malefic aspects, somehow they will save you and somehow they will come up.
Even Ketu in the 1st house?
Yes. 1, 4, 7, 10. 1, 5, 9.
What about Rahu acting as Saturn, Ketu acting like Mars?
Well, you see, that is a very loose generalization. Ketu is Ketu, Rahu is Rahu.
I have a question on Vargas. So far, Prashna only writes a few areas which we can use the Vargas for. Is there kind of a list of other areas we can use
Vargas.
for Vargas?
Vargas, except our team in Delhi, no one in the world has done any research. Right? Only slowly we are doing research and producing. In India, because of the secrecy, most of those people who knew the use of them, they have kept a secret. We are coming out with our books in which we are showing the usage.
Really are very few.
Now, yes, that's a good point. 3, 6 and 11. Any planet in the 11th house will give you good results is the general rule, whether in transit or in the birth horoscope. In 3 and 6, they produce good results after giving you an opportunity to struggle and face a challenge. You see, no planet is a non-functionary. Jupiter in the Lagna, Venus in the Lagna, Mercury in Lagna. Generally, you will say, when Mercury is in Lagna, it will destroy 1000 blemishes. Venus in the Lagna will destroy 10,000. And Jupiter in the Lagna will destroy 1 lakh, that means 100,000 blemishes, which only means they will protect, and in any case whatever happens they have to do their duty of protecting you in spite of all your defects. Rahu in the 3rd and Rahu in the 6th have similarly to give you good results, but it is not directly like Rahu in the 4th or the 5th, where they give it very gracefully. Here they say, my dear fellow, you will have to struggle hard to achieve this. That is the difference. In one case, they will make you struggle to achieve. In the other case, they say, because we are here, we give you. Yes?
Do certain planets give their results at the beginning or middle or end of dashas? Or is there a source of that?
Well, there is a theory. There is a theory of that type that doesn't really work. On the other hand, in this book, you have taken the Astakwarga divided into 8 parts. P.C. Verma's research is there, which I got produced in 91. I asked him to test it. Now this man, I recently when I talked to him, he said he had been giving results on this basis to almost everyone, predictions, and is getting 100% results. So instead of that a planet giving results in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, which is a very loose generalization, divided Dasha into 8 parts as given in this book. According to the Astakwarga, 8 parts. In which part it is becoming more effective? That is a secret method actually. I asked him, he was a student whom I taught in 1990, who passed our Divisional exam. We have so much unexplored area in Vedic astrology. Unfortunately, we have very brilliant students now. I have a team of 50 people with me. So I give them different subjects and ask them to produce research. And those researches are now coming out slowly. This was the first case in which I asked the students to produce the research. I edited. So here it is given. So that first part, second part, third part principle is not working. In my case, Jupiter is in the 3rd Dreshkona, exalted in the 10th house, but I got all the best results of Jupiter in the beginning of the Dasha itself. You understand that? I have tested that, that is not working. And we do not take a simple adage here and there or observation. We test it actually in the horoscope. And after testing only we are writing these things. Yes.
What about Western astrology? I know this is a big subject, but I worked with some Western astrologers, and some of them who are very learned and very skilled do some very good predictions. Now, my impression is only those who are very learned, whereas it seems to me in Vedic astrology, even though with a medium level of skill can give pretty good predictions. But what is your impression?
Well, I will not give any observations about Western astrology because I have not seen much of it. I have not had any opportunity to interact. Except that last year I spent 10 hours with Mr. Robert Hand. We discussed, and again in July I am going to spend 2 days with him. He said he wanted to discuss for 2 days with me. Now, what you say is very, very correct. An ordinary Vedic astrologer using the Dasha system is able to give you very fast prediction very soon and 80% of the times correctly. That is very correct. In the case of Western astrology, some of them perhaps give very good predictions. I do not know. This time I will ask Mr. Robert Hand more about it. Mr. Robert Hand and Mr. Robert Smith who worked with him. These two.
Greek translator.
Pardon?
He's the one that does the Greek translation.
Yes, doing the Greek translation project Hindsight. Last year they presented lots of books to me. So, Mr. Robert Hand himself had said that on the psychology part, Western astrology was very good. Predictive part, it had neglected somehow because it got de-linked from the old ancient traditions. So they are trying to revive the whole thing. At the moment, many of the people who are doing the Dasha system are finding results good very fast. I don't know what is your experience.
Dashas are good.
Because Dasha is a very dependable method. Very, very dependable method.
When a Dasha commences, do you also look at that time at the transit?
No, don't forget that. That is an untested method. You must have read about it, the Dasha, Vahan and all those things. Forget all that. Don't go into any one of those fanciful areas. You read too much and begin to clutter your mind with hundreds of untested things. That's what most of the Indians are doing. Never do that. The Dasha, Vahan, I know all that, but nothing works.
Do you find the dashas of the Taurus and Scorpio Lagna, the dasha of the Lagna Lord, to be an exception to the rule that is generally favorable?
Exception to?
To the rule that the Lagna Lord dasha is generally favorable. So when Nandan was teaching, he made a point that for Taurus and Scorpio Lagna, the 6th house ownership, because it was in that increasing strength, stronger than the 1st house, would be an exception to the rule.
You see, now this is Lagu Parashari and Brihat Parashara. The Brihat Parashar Hora Shastra is a thick volume. Some of the most brilliant disciples of Parashara took the whole thing and condensed them into 40 simple principles, shlokas, and called it Lagu Parashari or Uddaya Pradipika, whatever may be. In northern India they use the word Lagu Parashari, in Maharashtra and South India they Uddaya Pradipa. He took up those principles and tried to teach you. Venus for Taurus can be a dangerous planet because he is onus, he is the lord of a Mool Trikona house. Right? Mars can be a dangerous planet for Scorpio because he is the owner of Mool Trikona sign. That is a simple principle given. How it gets modified should also be seen in a horoscope before you launch into a prediction. But the basic principle you could remember, that's all. But never take a principle in isolation. That is always the danger. Always synthesize.
How reliable is the Parashara translation we have from the West? I know there is one version out from Sharma, and I would like to know how good the translation is from Sanskrit into English.
Bad.
So, so you would not recommend to rely on the translation at all?
No. There is only one hope. Only one hope. I will only say hope, I will not promise. There is one man in South India, his name is Madhuri Krishnamurti Shastri. He has a full authentic text of Brihat Parashar Hora Shastra. He does not know English. He is doing the whole thing in Telugu language, which is my mother tongue. I am a linguist. If anyone does it in Telugu, if anyone does it in Hindi, does it in Gujarati, in Marathi, in Bengali, I can follow, I can translate from 3 of these languages, and I can take the help of others and translate from other languages. He has taken, I have promised to him that if he translated those things into 6 or 7 volumes in Telugu, I would get them translated into English. He is the only one who understood these things very properly and very correctly, and he has the authentic text. What most of the other people have done is what any one of us could have done. You have got some translations available in Hindi of, let us say, Sitaram Jha. I called a stenographer and straight away take that translation and dictate in English and produce a book in no time. But I have not tested those things. To produce a thing without testing is to do damage.
Even the Devanagari script is incorrect?
Pardon?
How about the Sanskrit in those books?
Most of these people who are translated do not know Sanskrit well.
So even that is not reliable.
No, from Sanskrit to Hindi, translations done by men like Sitaram Jha, very good. But Sitaram Jha was a bad predictor. Try to understand. In the case of books coming from India, only a man who is a successful predictor can tell you what actually a particular shloka means. This difference you will not know.
So even the sloka, which is in the text, written in Sanskrit, even that is not correct?
That is 100% correct.
That is.
100% correct, but translations from Sanskrit into English or from Sanskrit into Hindi have 3 different meanings, which most of you in the West will find it difficult to appreciate. One is known as Shabdartha, literal translation. The second is known as Bhavartha, the implied translation. The third is known as Lakshyartha, the secret hints contained in the one. You understand that? If a literal translation is given, you look at it and you say, well, this is what I read. You are right in your own way. Now, for example, Jaimini Sutras, they say such and such combination is there. He will overcome obstacles in his spiritual life. Finish. He will overcome obstacles in his spiritual life. Now when you begin to work deep on it, what do you find? The obstacles will come in his spiritual life. When you go deeper, you find what are the natures of obstacles coming in spiritual life. Then you will still go deeper, you find this is the strength which helps him to overcome the obstacles. I took up this one simple sutra, 4 words once, and when I went on writing the commentary, it went into 20 pages. I said, I'll have to stop here. So it is not easy to translate. Most of those people who are doing are because some publishers in India, they know there is a market available. So quickly they ask them to translate, they produce the whole thing. And the book is coming to you. You read them, you think this is the final word. That is not the final word. That is mostly distortion.
Do you think it's a good idea to transliterate and to chant this Sanskrit if somebody is knowledgeable of Sanskrit?
Oh yes.
That's very good.
That is a better thing. If you can transliterate and take the help of a knowledgeable man, that is better for you.
Is the Jainini you're referring to the same one who wrote the Karma?
Pardon? No. There is a difference, there is a lot of controversy about it, whether Jaimini of Jaimini Sutras in astrology is the same one who is associated with Mimamsa philosophy. But I don't know, I am not an Indologist. But Indologists in India say no, they are not the same, they are two different Jaiminis.
Mr. Is there a possibility that sometime in the near future you could come back and do the Jaimini workshop here?
Here, yes, we can do it. Jaimini workshop can be done here.
I think there would be a lot of...
No, here I think you may have a greater advantage here. It's a smaller place. You can meet more frequently,
Yes.
and you can do more intensely. And it will be inexpensive for you because you are all living in the same city, right?
Yes.
And you say, all right, even on a working day, you don't need a holiday. You say after dinner, have 2 hours workshop for 7 days. That is easier for you. So I also don't have that strain which I had in Pennsylvania. 8 hours of teaching and 3 hours of discussion. Actually, if I had not promised to these people, I would have run back to India. Imagine 8 hours of teaching and 3 hours of discussion every day, going on for 6 days. After speaking for 66 hours before a class of 50 persons who had stayed for the full week, I came here and my voice fortunately is intact. But I am lubricating my voice with this. You are seeing this lubricant here?
So that would be possible.
It will be possible. And actually I would always love to have it in a smaller place where people could come continuously for 7-8 days running and every day 2-3 hours only. So that the strain on me is avoided. I give you 2 hours this thing, then make you do the exercise tomorrow. Then again come, then make you do the exercise tomorrow. That can go in for 15 days like Bharati Vidya Bhavan class. It becomes easier for me. Don't ask me to teach for more than 2 hours. It's very unfair. It has been a very, very heavy thing for me. You have seen at San Rafael also. Whole day workshop goes on till the evening. It should not be so. So if I make you do the exercise, then you will understand why I insist. Don't take anything literally. You are not even going to accept K.N. Rao as an authority. Please remember. You say, Mr. K.N. Rao taught me this principle, I will test it. And if it is working, then I accept him. Then this man is intellectually honest. Otherwise, I am a dishonest man. Don't accept it.
What do you think of the idea that Jyotish is meant to be taught orally, primarily orally, not through books?
100% correct. That is why this tradition of teaching which I started is working so fast in India. That is why when they saw me teaching in Bharati Vidya Bhavan, they came, please come to USA. You are the man who would succeed from the US stage. That is how I am coming to USA. Orally, this tradition. From the book you can never learn, let me tell you. Take that, I teach it, explain it, then test it. That is the oral tradition. Because Guru Mukhi Vidya it is known as. Guru Mukhi. So it comes out from the mouth of the Guru, then you begin to understand the inner meaning. So the more experienced in astrology it is, the easier it is for you to understand. This means this. I have given you a simple integrated scheme. Birth horoscope, Navamsha, 3 levels of the Vinshottari and Astakwarga. Nowhere you will get such an integrated scheme taught to you. But in a book you will get all this. You will not know that by integrating all this, you evolve a scheme of predicting properly. Right? That is exactly what is meant by the Guru Mukhi Vidya. Now in India, this has always existed. And now this is spreading slowly. In India also, people are sharing, have started sharing because I broke the tradition. I said, don't keep it as a secret. To some extent you can share, not everything. Try to understand, astrology is an abusable knowledge. There are certain things in astrology which I do not teach to anyone in India or in USA. I will not. I just will not. Because if that knowledge falls into the hands of unscrupulous men, they can exploit badly. That is where morality comes in, the moral excellence of an astrologer. But to the extent to which you can teach it safely, without making it abusable, do that. But you are correct, the oral tradition will always continue. Yes?
So when are you coming back here?
God will decide. November I am coming to Pennsylvania. In November.
I thought you weren't coming to the United States again.
In November I am coming because Swamiji there, you know how I had to come in June? Swamiji last year took a promise. Swamiji there. He said, when I am teaching Vedanta here, why don't you come and teach Vedanga? So I said, all right. So in June I went, then she contacted me, she said, you must come here. So I said, all right. Seeing her sincerity, I promised to her, I said, I will come. Then you had told me, in Iowa you find a very small, good group reacting intensely. You had told me, Julia had told me, Mark Boni had told me. So I said, okay, I would come here. So she insisted, she sent a fax to me in India. Rakesh Sharma rang me up. I said, okay, because I had seen her sincerity in the November class which I had taught. I said, okay, I will come. So, and it is nearer from Pennsylvania. It's only 3-4 hours of journey. I could come here. I would see that. And an intensive workshop. And not more than 2 hours a day. It should be a relief for me, and at the same time, you should be able to master one branch of a predictive technique. That will be more useful from my point of view. A smaller group working intensively, continuously. That helps me. That is where I can almost do as I do in Bharati Vidya Bhavan. There in Pennsylvania I couldn't do it. In 3 days I had to finish the whole course. I could not make you do any exercise and see whether you are doing it correctly or not. Here I make you do it. I will say, come on, let me now leave the exercise book with me. I will come tomorrow, I will make corrections and see whether you have done correctly or not. It is almost like a daily examination that will go on. Then only I will be satisfied that I have taught it correctly. At the moment I can only assure you I will try to do that, but I am not promising. Right? Thank you.